Reset.
It's like so annoying.
Yeah, and if we're home, I'm like, it's freezing in here. Come. Oh, so you can see it on the screen.
Yeah, we should just go COM or just their name. That's cool. Now I can
Commissioner Mathenall, do you have a camera?
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me turn it on.
Thank you.
Do we really want that?
I don't know. I think Jeff is
I don't
kind of
know.
intimidated. Because I'm not wearing a tie.
I think this is the second tie I've worn in a year.
Well,
Yeah.
well, you should ask Rob, how long has he worn a tie? How long ago?
over a year.
Yeah.
Jeff, are you in your office at home or at the business?
I'm in our Groton office. I had a closing up in Norwich, a commercial closing, so I had to go to that. Then I just got back down here. And I actually have a pre-trial by Zoom at 12:30. So that's why I wore the tie for the judge.
Oh, not for us.
No.
He's-
Well, yes,
he's-
for Commissioner Mathenall's first meeting.
Make him jealous.
Rob, at least you should try and do the same.
You're right. You're right. George, welcome aboard.
Thank you for having me. Thank you all. It's nice to see some familiar faces and get to know the others eventually. I know Aaron for a long while, of course.
Yeah, welcome, George. I look forward to working with you. It's been great working with you at the EDC, so it'll be fun as a commissioner too.
That's true, but I'll let you do all the talking at the EDC meeting nevertheless.
I think your input's more valuable than mine.
No.
Okay, Noemi, are we ready?
We are ready.
Okay, then I'm going to call, this is the Groton Utilities Commission / Water Pollution Control Authority meeting for March 17th, 2021. We're going to call it to order. Roll call, we have Commissioner Scully, Commissioner Zuliani, Commissioner Godley, and our newest Commissioner Mathenall, and Keith Hedrick is the chair. So we have a full quorum. So we'll call the meeting to order. I need a motion to approve the minutes, regular meeting minutes of February 17th, 2021.
So moved. Second.
Oh,
Okay,
second.
moved by Zuliani, seconded by Scully. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Okay, hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Need a motion to approve the treasurer's report for February 2021.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second, Zuliani and Scully. Are there any discussion on the treasurer's report? Hearing none, all in favor, say
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
opposed, abstention, motion carries. Okay, we have communication to
Have
correspondence.
your video off right now. Just click on start video.
Someone's talking. Please mute yourself.
Media.
So the communication to correspondence, we have a thank you from the Native Plant Trust, another thank you from Safe Futures, and I believe the commission received correspondence that we got from the Tri-Town Trails Commission. So that's that. Is there any additional correspondence that came in, Noemi, that you're aware?
No.
Okay, so that's it for communication correspondence. We now get to the public communications portion of the meeting. In response to State of Connecticut Executive Order Number 7B, Protection of Public Health and Safety During COVID-19 Pandemic and Response, further suspension or modification of statutes dated March 14, 2020, suspending in-person open meeting requirements. All public meetings will be closed to the public at this time. Public meetings will be available on Zoom with the information above. If you wish to address the commission, please send written communications sent to Director's Office at grotonutilities.com by 9 a.m. on the date of the meeting will be read during this portion of the agenda. Let me get back to. Okay, is there anyone from the public who would like to speak today?
This is Joellen.
Hey, Joellen, you have the floor.
Could somebody
State your name.
please move up the agenda so I can see something beyond item 4? Thank you. Thank you.
Okay,
That's it.
okay, thank you. Is there anything else, anybody else that would like to speak? All right, I have some correspondence. Let me get to that. I have an email from Sam Spano at 300 Thames Street. There's been one odor day since last utility commission meeting. That was Tuesday, 2/23/21 at approximately 12:05 p.m. on this day. I opened my back door and immediately smelled raw sewage. I went around to the front porch, which faces the plant. And of course, the odor was even worse. There was a mild day with the wind blowing from the southwest. I noticed there was a tanker truck hooked up for sludge removal. Everything looked okay, and the yellow vent hose appeared to be properly hooked up. Normally, since this venting procedure has been put in place, there's little or no odor, even with the tanker pickup. However, this day something went wrong. Perhaps the valve on the tanker for the vent hose was not opened. I informed GU management about this incident. However, I received no explanation as to the cause of the odor on this day. Summer is coming. I hope we do not have another occurrence. Again, I thank the commissioners for your help in advance. The second correspondence is from Ed Johnson in Noank. It's regarding the New 100-day editorial. See note number 1 below on possibility of changing electrical suppliers for Groton Town. I request that this letter be read aloud at your next directors meeting, which I'm advised is on 3/17/21 at 10:30 a.m. and entered into your minutes as appropriate. I am interested in seeing GU expand operations in Groton Town. Please note the following. 1, I'm aware that GU services electrical power to approximately 50% or more of Groton overall territory, essentially the western section, which also includes the city, Groton, Long Point, Mumford Cove, and much of the town itself. In terms of major industry, it appears that GU already has a lion's share of electric use because of Pfizer, EB, and sub-basin shopping malls, etc. I'm also aware that the eastern section, which includes Mystic, West Mystic, and Noank, also including the Oral School property, is serviced by Eversource. 3, an informal sampling of users from both east and west sections is indicating that GU does a more efficient job of servicing their customers than does Eversource, most especially in reacting to power outages. The differential is confirmed by an objective survey published recently, see note 2 below. I realize that there are major complications with any business operation changeover, such as this one, and I'm advised that GU is not in a position to initiate such a change. Essentially, it is up to the Groton citizens to voice their opinions to appropriate parties on the matter. Therefore, I ask that as an operating body, you consider the topic and the needs that be required for such a transition, such as purchase of existing infrastructure, new equipment, in addition to necessary personnel. I would also suggest you allow for the possible expansion of electric needs at the Mystic Oral School property for a proposed development now under consideration. Presently, the only major active use is to power a major cell phone tower set up on the large smokestack at the facility, plus any utilities the state may be requiring from existing structures. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions, and thank you so much for your time. Signed, Ed Johnson. All right, that.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Giuliani?
would it be advisable to mention that there was an attachment below that for the editorial in the day paper? And
Sure.
another additional survey that was shown as a second attachment pertaining to this request.
Sure, this will all be entered into the record. The commissioners received a copy, I think, today. It includes the day editorial that basically says giving Eversource a run for its money. And you can see that on the day. And then there was an EIA survey. I'm not sure where this come from, but he includes that at the bottom. And this will be entered into the record, so it will be in the minutes for the next meeting. So thank you, Commissioner Giuliani. All right, do any of the commissioners have any comments on citizens petitions? I'm sorry.
Would you like me to comment?
Yeah, Director G'day, could you comment please on either of the two, but I think you want to comment on Mr. Johnson's.
Yes, I wanted to comment on the comment about increasing municipal utilities in Connecticut. We'll have it available, and if anybody contacts the office, we can forward it around. There's first, I want to thank everybody because that's like a compliment to Groton Utilities, also to the rest of the CMAC members, Norwich and Jewett City and Basra, never mind our compadres down south. So that's a thank you. But there's actually a Office of Legislative Research report that came out in 2012 that reviews the forming of a municipal utility. First, we have to realize that Groton Utilities is governed by a franchise and a franchise agreement. So it is not appropriate for the utility to solicit expansion beyond its legal franchise area. And the legal franchise area is actually defined in the city's charter. That being the first thing. So the utility nor the commission, or I believe even the city, and maybe Keith will comment to that, can propose expansion out of our franchise territory. The other things that are talked about in that Office of Legislative Research report are that franchising, it gives, there's a statute that gives the governing board of each municipality the power to acquire electrical generation and distribution systems or franchise other parties to develop and operate them. These actions must be approved by the voters in the same way as the authorization of bonds. Addition to that, it says acquisition plan. There's a statute that requires municipalities seeking to acquire utility property to adopt by ordinance an acquisition plan that is approved by the voters in the same way as an authorization of bonds. The ordinance must be described and the property to be acquired in the purchase price must also be described. So when you read the details of this report, the devil is always in the details. What would happen is, let's say the town or the city would say, we want to create a municipal power company. They would then have to adopt an ordinance that says that they're going down this road with a process, and then they would have to actually approach the IOU, the independently, the investor-owned utility, in this case, Eversource for our local area. And there would have to be a determination of the value of the assets. There's a lot of legalese and statutes that discuss the valuation of that asset, and that's probably the hardest part of the process. But once that's done, I believe the municipality can kind of force Eversource's hand. I don't understand that process well. It's not proven. It's not happened in Connecticut in forever, and therefore the legal precedence is very low. But for Groton Utilities, it's appropriate for us to watch. We could answer questions and advise as it relates to how hard it is to run a municipal utility and how it might be gone about. But otherwise, it's inappropriate for GU to break our franchise agreements. Any questions, or Keith, any other comments on top of that?
Commissioner? Chairman?
Commissioner Zuliani, you have the floor.
Ron, would that mean we would have to start a separate utility company to acquire this area, or could it be absorbed into the Groton Utilities directly as an add-on?
Theoretically speaking, the way I think it would work is the town would acquire the assets, and then they would come up with an operating agreement with whatever operator they thought appropriate to do the operation. And if there was a combining or a purchase of assets done, that would be a separate thing on the side after the municipality went through the process of making a deal with the IOU.
Got it.
That's all speculation, because I believe there'd be a lot of attorneys involved at that point.
For sure.
We're just making sure that we don't want to cross the line and be seen as trying to expand our territory into Eversources. I believe that would be very inappropriate.
One question, Ron.
Commissioner Scully.
So, Ron, what you said is the way the laws are written now at the present time. Reading this article that was in the Data the other day, they're going to study allowing municipal utilities to expand. They're going to study it over the next year. So a lot of that could change, apparently. It sounds like if they change these rules. And I'm sure our lobbyists are keeping an eye on that.
Yes, we've actually, I spoke to Mark after that article came out because we were discussing it. There is a possibility that the legislature changes the rules to make it easier to happen, and what they may do and how that may affect the systems, and actually whether it allows municipal utilities to help neighboring towns with a clear conscience remains to be seen. With the results of this report that's supposed to be done, if that law is adopted, by January of next year.
Right.
Any other commissioners want to speak? Okay, so as I understand it, with the rules of the way they are today, the utility can't do anything. And Commissioner, I recognize what you're saying. I read the same article. I've talked to some legislators about this, and they're going to study, and it's up in the air. The challenge is you get into expanding your territory, and if it's going to be okay for the municipalities to expand into Eversource, why is it not okay for Eversource to expand into the municipalities' utility territory? So that's one of the challenges that comes up that they're going to have to be faced with. But right now, the way the rules are written is that GU nor the city can take any active measures to make this happen. This has got to come from the town. I've talked to John Burt. I explained to him what the process is and explained to him that some of this has the potential to be expensive, because not only are you buying the wires and the poles, but if there's anything else out there, it does not appear that there's a substation on the Groton side. I think it's on the Sonington side. So that makes it a little bit cheaper. But there's also a thing in there called stranded cost. And it's unsure exactly what goes into that stranded cost, but part of their stranded costs will probably be failed business ventures that they're writing off, some of that the town would have to buy. So there would be the town would have to make this decision. It would have to go to referendum. It would have to be voted on by everybody. And then they would have to bond for it in order to buy everything and go from there. And it's not a complicated process, but it's complicated to execute. And it has not been done, I don't know, probably 20 years or more. So that's one of the challenges that we face. And I have responded to Mr. Johnson in the past and tried to explain that to him, and hopefully he gets it. But there are a lot of people that are just saying, well, just start providing power. And you can't do that. There's legal ramifications to that. There's jurisdictional ramifications to it. Pura gets involved and all kinds of things. So, and like I said, in the end, this is a town issue. Town needs to decide. John knows, and he's going to be talking to his counselors about it. So that's that. So let me go to the next regional water update, Poquatonic Cove interconnection.
And so we have Ray Valentini here to talk to that.
Okay, Ray?
Morning. We have received last night our attorney's comments for the contract. So we're going to be working with that. The engineer's updating the drawing. So hopefully in the next, I'm going to say within a month, we should be almost ready to go out to bid.
Okay. Commissioners, any comments on that? Okay. Monthly financial highlights, E?
Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm going to review the financial highlights for February and the fiscal year today with everyone today. And I will start with the electric division. So for revenue side, the total electric revenue of February is 4.6 million, not including the industrial pass-through revenue, which is 9% greater than the budget and 15.2% more than the last February. And the favorable variance is driven by the residential and industrial sales, and commercial is still under the budget by 4.4% for the month. For fiscal year today, the electric revenue of 33 million, also not including the pass-through revenue, which is 1.4% more than the budget and 4% more than the same period of last year. Also the favorable variance is driven by the industrial and the residential sales, and commercial sales fiscal year today is 6.5% below the budget. Oh, sorry, it's 10% below the budget for fiscal year today. For operation and maintenance expense and net income for February is the operation and maintenance expense is 28% below the budget, and net income for the month is 312,000 more than the budget. The favorable rate variance of net income is driven by the below budget operation and maintenance expense. Fiscal year today, the operation and maintenance expense for electric is 18.6% below the budget, and net income is 1.5 million more than the budget. Also, the favorable variance of net income is driven by the below the budget operation maintenance expense. And that's because due to COVID, we have like the scheduled maintenance and upgrades. We didn't get it done or have the delay, and also the delay of the professional service, and also the training and conference not happen for this month due to the COVID. So this is the major reason for the below budget of operation maintenance expense. So this is overall for the electric division, the financial updates. Any questions for the electric division?
Chairman?
Commissioner Giuliani?
E, thank you. it's a great report every month. You give us a lot of detail. I just want to highlight in the electric year-to-date figures, we're 5.9% operating income over last year, and I think that's a very good favorable position to be in.
Okay.
The financials look great. That's what I'm trying to say.
Any other comments from the commission? Okay, E, continue with water.
Okay, so Waterside revenue for the February is 901,000 for the month, which is 2.2% more than the budget and 7% more than last February. And so the variance is driven by the industrial and the residential. And for the commercial, which is 4% below the budget for the month. For year to date, the water revenue of 7.9 million is 5.3% more than the budget and 9.3% more than the last fiscal year to date. The favorable variance is driven by the residential and industrial as well. And the commercial is 6% below the budget for fiscal year to date. Operation and maintenance expense for February are under budget by 17.7%. I made a mistake on the report. The shows I put the 8.7, which is wrong. It's supposed 17.7% under the budget. And net earnings before the DWSRF, which is drinking water, state revolving fund grant is 283,000 more than the budget. And the favorable variance is driven by the over budget revenue plus the under budget operation maintenance and the delay of the DPH consent project. Operation maintenance expense for fiscal year to date are 5.9% below the budget. Net earnings before DWSRF grant is 1.7 million more than the budget. The favorable variance is driven by the under budget revenue, over budget revenue, plus under budget operation maintenance expense, and also the delay of the DPH consent agreement project. The updates for water treatment plant project is as end of February. The total cost is 48.8 million. And Groton Utility received 48.2 million from the drinking water state revolving fund, which including the 13.4 million from the grants and 34.8 million from the loan payments. So as of February, and GEO already restricted 3.7 million cash for water treatment plant upgrades. So this is the overall review for the water department for February and fiscal year to date. Any questions?
Questions from the commission on water? Okay, seeing none. E, please continue with sewer.
Okay, sewer side revenue for February is 351,000, which is 8.4% below the budget and 16% below the last February. The unfavorable variance is driven by the below budget of the industrial sales, which is caused by the one of the major industrial customer. We for this month, we start having the deduct meters for that customer. So that's why it shows the under budget revenue for the month for industrial. And the fiscal year to date sewer revenue of 3.3 million, which is 13.7 more than the budget, and which is driven by the most likely is industrial customer sales. Operation maintenance expense for February are 19.2% below the budget. Net income is 36,000 more than the budget, and the favorable variance of net income is driven by the under budget operation and maintenance expense offset by the under budget revenues. Fiscal year to date operation maintenance expense are 20.4% below the budget, and net income is 938,000 more than the budget. And the favorable variance is driven by the over budget revenue, most likely came from the industrial sales, and plus the under budget operation maintenance expense. At end of February, sewer division has the net cash is 3.8 million. So this is overall for the sewer division. Any questions?
Questions from the commission on sewer? Okay, hearing,
Chairman,
go ahead. Who is this? Commissioner,
Zuli.
Commissioner
Bob
Zuliani.
Z. Again, the year-to-date figures, it looks good. I like this statement too. It's, we're up over last year by 5.4%, which is another healthy picture. I just wanted to highlight that.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the commissioners? All right, thank you, E.
Welcome.
All right, we're going to move on to projects, initiatives update, COVID-19 update. Mark?
So this is Mark. So these are the up-to-date statistics as of this morning. There's been 293,955 confirmed and probable cases of COVID in the state of Connecticut. That's up by 853 in the last 24 hours. COVID-19 tests reported. There's been 7.2 million COVID tests performed in the state of Connecticut. That's up by 17,203 from yesterday. The daily positivity rate bumped up to 4.96% in the last 24 hours. You remember that over the last 2 months, it's been bouncing between 1.5 and about 3%. And yesterday it bounced up. It was kind of a surprise to our data folks this morning, but still the number of hospitalizations is down by 4. We're down to 403. Total associated deaths went up by 11. We're at 7,799 in the state of Connecticut. Yesterday, we took a look at Massachusetts and Rhode Island as well in our COVID meeting. Massachusetts has more than double the number of cases more than double the number of fatalities, and Rhode Island has around 2,000 something. But everybody's headed in our region, headed in the right direction, which is good. The counties that are having the most trouble in the state of Connecticut remain Fairfield, Hartford, and New Haven County, with New Haven County leading by a long shot. East of the Connecticut River, there are 21 cases of COVID that required hospitalization. So east of the Connecticut River, and so you recall that's New London County with 17 cases, Tolland County with 0, Windham County with 4. So we represent about 5.2% of the COVID cases in the state of Connecticut. For Groton Utilities, we do have one employee in the line gang that just came back, had COVID in the last reporting period since we talked last. And that individual is back to work. Again, it was not a case of workplace transmission, actually caught it from friends on a weekend get together. We thought we had another one yesterday, but it turned out to be a false report. So all in all, we continue on with our solid performance in Groton Utilities, no workplace transmissions. We continue on with all of our COVID protocols. Looking forward to hopefully in the next couple of weeks trying to relax a little bit, particularly in the operations building where we're locked in. We're a constant population over here. We don't let anybody in unless we question them. And over 50% of our total workforce over here in operations has been vaccinated. So that's good. That's really good for us. Anybody have any questions on COVID? Thank you.
Okay, also, this Saturday on March 20th at the Jennings School is going to be a clinic that Alleged Life's doing for municipal employees. And that was sent out to all hands yesterday. So if they have not received their vaccination, should they want to, they can go over there and get their vaccination. So we will continue to hold clinics. We will continue to hold clinics in other locations in order to get the general population vaccinated, but also to make sure that municipal and GU employees are vaccinated. Okay, customer service accounts receivable, Tina?
Good morning, everybody. How was everybody today? So a couple of quick things. Actually, our overall AR looks pretty good. We're sitting about 7% delinquent. Compared to last year, we were sitting roughly about 9%. So overall, it looks pretty good. As of right now, we have very little TVCA money left out there for reimbursement. I'm looking into, there has been a couple of conversations on Pure website and also the state of Connecticut about extending winter moratorium. So I'm trying to get some more information on that and figuring out if there has been any movement. They did extend the evictions to September of this year, which could, for us, could translate into, in September, we very well might have a higher write-off because landlords can't evict. So we could run into some situations with customers with higher utility bills, either getting evicted or moving out. And we would end up having to write it off. And I'm not sure if E had mentioned it, the electric increase goes into effect April 1st for Groton utilities, and there will be notes on the customer's bills. And there was a insert that actually went out. There's a new program, and I'll touch base on it. And then if anybody wants some additional information, feel free, you can email me. There is a new HUD program by the state of Connecticut that is for rent assistance. And they're currently taking applications. There is information on the Groton Utilities and the Basra Light and Power website. And it's all driven by the customer. Groton Utilities doesn't get involved. But there is an additional $1,500 credit for customers to go to their utility service. And that can be electric, water, sewer, whatever your heat source is. So what happens is they're actually taking applications up to September, and then the money wouldn't be dispersed to the utility companies until like around December of 2021. So from my understanding, if they don't apply for the rent, or if they don't qualify for the rent assistance, they don't qualify for the electric assistance either. And I'm trying to get more information on that. That's it.
Okay, good. Thank you, Tina. Does any of the commissioners have any questions for Tina?
Hi, it's Jeff Godley. I understand, or I think I understand, that in the new stimulus bill, there was some money for utility bills. Am I wrong? Do we know anything about that?
That's this rental assistance.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh,
Yeah,
so it's in the form of rental assistance?
No, it's tied in with, so when the customer applies, it's like a 15-step process. And one of the steps, I went through it because I needed to understand, like, if a customer got stuck or something, at least I would be able to at least try to explain it to them. But there's a portion that says about your utilities, and then you list your utilities that you're delinquent on, and then you have to download your bill. The landlord has to be part of it, because part of the rental assistance, they're looking for the landlord to write off 15% of the back rent, which I don't know how many landlords have a 15% margin to be able to write off, but.
Yeah.
So it sounds all great, but then when you start to go through it, it's a difficult process. It took me probably about an hour and a half to get through the application. And I'm pretty savvy on the computer, but they don't make it easy.
Would it make sense to try and come up with a simple one-page, if you're behind your bill, this is an option for you?
We did. We are going to be putting it on our website. Yep. And all the reps have it. And I also forwarded the information to Norwich Public Utilities so they can actually get it out to their customers.
Oh, okay.
And we'll be doing it for Basra too. And we got the portal and
great.
out there for so we're trying to get out there and get it out to the customers. I'm not sure if I want to do an insert or not, because I don't want to drive those calls into us, because we really can't help them with the application.
Yeah, I don't think a blanket insert, but if people are calling and saying, I'm having trouble with my bill or something like that, maybe then you reach out, right? That would make
well,
sense.
and I did, didn't mean to cut you off. I did change our shut off notice for a few months that actually puts that information in there. It says, additional assistance with the portal and all that stuff. So when a customer gets a shut off notice, that they are getting that additional assistance also, so they can actually do some more research.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the commission for Tina? Okay, we're going to move on. Water filtration plant project commissioning update.
Go ahead, Ray.
Okay, this is Ray Valentini again. The project is moving along where right now the main focus has been in Unit 3 basins to change them to manganese filters. They're still doing demo. They're a little behind in that part. And also the PCB removal down in the basement of Unit 3. The contractor hopes to be done by this week, so we can start spraying, painting those walls, ceilings, and floors. And then after that, all the piping and electrical will be installed. So that's the milestone for them. They're still continuing throughout the plant doing lab buildings, the rooms, and where the offices are going to be. So it's been, and we're blocking up some windows and stuff. So there's been people, we've had outside piping work has stopped for the last 2 weeks to order some more material and get the contractor back on board. So that's where we're at right now.
Okay. Commissioners?
Ray, could you describe the schedule, both the contract end schedule and what you see is it not being done by the contract end date?
Okay, it looked like May 9th or 10th was their final contract date. Right now, on the 3-week look ahead that we just got, it's 8 weeks of electrical down in Unit 3 and 2 weeks at least of putting the pipe up. And so we haven't even done poured concrete for the filters yet, manganese contactors. So I personally don't think we're going to make it unless they start working a lot of overtime.
Not expect additional charges though, right?
We shouldn't get any more charges. That's correct.
So where are we on the budget, and what anticipated change orders do we think we have?
Budget wise, I thought we have some money left because we haven't paid for everything. Obviously, it's not done. I don't know exact number off the top of my head there, but we do have money for that. Change orders, I don't know. We haven't seen any yet, but I don't know what we're going to get.
Okay, but we should still come in on budget.
Yes, I hope so. applicant, we're gonna have to, if anything. We are having some issues with the manganese contactors. They didn't get them pre-mixed. The materials come and has to be mixed here, so there's some regulatory compliance issues. We're working with the engineer right now. So that's another issue that came up. They sent some paperwork out Monday, and the lab, Rick, Paul, myself, Mike, we're looking into that, and we're going to work with Stantec hopefully to get this squared away.
Okay. All right, anything else from the commission?
Can someone actually run the numbers and make sure we are going to be on budget? I assume someone is doing that.
Yeah, there's an ongoing budget tracking sheet. It has something between 350,000 and 400,000 left. And there's outstanding change orders that the engineer is working through with RH White related to the extension of the time. RH White knows that that's all the money that is left in the project. And I've contacted both the executives from RH White and Stantec to put them on notice that if they see us getting close or going to run out of money, that they alert us immediately. And they also know that there's probably a very slim chance of us agreeing to any change orders that run us over the budget. So, but do realize that the manganese contactors is the last portion of the plant that hasn't come online yet. And they're hoping to have that on by the end of April so that it runs for the month of May. And as Ray says, they're doing very well if they make that.
But it's unlikely that there would be additional costs that we're not aware of at this point, is what you're saying.
100%, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, right, good.
Well, let's get a latest update on the budget, on where we are, potential change orders, those kind of things. And let's send that out to the commissioners so that we can see that. So we have a comfortable feeling, because and let's do that as soon as we can. I don't want to wait until next month, because that gives us a month out. And
right.
So the sooner we know, the better.
I apologize. That's normally in your package every month. This was a light month and we kind of missed it.
I'll get that out today. I'll send it to the director's office and we'll forward it.
Okay, good. Anything else from the commissioners on this item? All right, information technology update, Sue?
Everyone, can you hear me?
You're a little light, Sue.
Is that better?
A little bit.
Okay, I have my volume all the way up, so I'll speak a little louder.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. What I'd like to do this morning is a quick brief of the past year and how COVID has affected cybersecurity, and also speak on a few high-level initiatives going forward. It's been an interesting year. Everyone has seen the news about the cybersecurity issues related to moving workers from their standard office environments to remote work. And also, we've all seen the clips of Zoom bombing as companies and employers tried to deploy Zoom and other online collaboration tools for improved communications or setting up meetings. Fortunately, Groton Utilities already had systems in place that provided for remote access security. So our main focus was merely on finding and configuring devices when we quickly had to move employees out to remote work a year ago. But fortunately, again, the security was already in place to accomplish that. There's also been some recent breaches that everyone has seen In the headlines, the Solarwinds Orion breach, which impacted um, every government agency and many Department of Defense contractors, was big headlines. And SolarWinds as a company is working very hard to um, resurrect their reputation. We were not impacted. We did not use the SolarWinds Orion platform, but SolarWinds is working very hard, and their sales team seems to be very active in trying to repair the damage. More recently, the breach that occurred at a Florida water treatment facility um, hit much closer to home for us. It certainly brought the thought of um, vulnerability for a SCADA system um, much more in the forefront. We obviously were aware of those issues and the potential risks, but it certainly brought it to light for many more people. Both circumstances revolved a lot around supply chain. It wasn't necessarily a problem with internal employees and their lack of training. The Florida instance was stopped by a highly trained operator that saw it happening on the screen before him and raised the red flags. But it certainly brought supply chain into light in a much greater way because there were third-party applications being used, and those particular items and their vulnerabilities put the agencies at risk. So that's been an ongoing focus from regulatory agencies, but it certainly will be more scrutinized going forward. As far as cybersecurity for the city of Groton Utilities, we have a number of different regulatory compliance requirements, not just legislative. Regulatory for us includes NERC, critical infrastructure protection, which is currently mandatory for our electric SCADA system. And that subject has been in front of this Utilities Commission since 2006. It became mandatory at a later date, but it's been a topic for that period of time. In 2014, the City Police Department, which is also part of our core network, was audited and required to be compliant with the Criminal Justice Information System security policy that's put out by the FBI. And we continue to work with them on that. Again, another mandatory requirement. And more recently, the America's Water Infrastructure Act of 2018 brought the water and wastewater systems into a mandatory status for cybersecurity compliance. We're currently in the process of performing the required risk assessment, resiliency and risk assessment, and that is due June 30th, 2021 to be filed. Following up to that, within 6 months, an emergency response plan needs to be completed, also under the AWIA requirements. In conjunction with that, there'll be an initiative proposed in fiscal 2022 to update the emergency response plan overall for the utility. And that will include expanded language and requirements for cyber-related issues. Our plan has a limited amount of information on that, but over the years, as these issues have changed and regulatory requirements have increased, that needs to be incorporated into a more current version of the emergency response plan. Mark Byron would be the lead on that entire project going forward. A few things that we've done in the past year. We recently deployed a mandatory security awareness training to all of our users. That was an online training and it was well received. The individuals, every individual that was available to take the training has done so. And we will actually be updating that platform and deploying additional, more in-depth training to our user community starting in May of this year. We should note that our strategic plan, as we begin to deploy that out, one of the objectives is regulatory compliance with a focus on cybersecurity. Not just as Ray mentioned earlier, there are regulatory compliance issues with water, with wastewater, and other areas of the business. Cyber will also be given a place at the table to be included in the strategic objectives of regulatory compliance. And then the last item is obviously going to be the organizational culture regarding cybersecurity and how that will impact the user community. It's a challenge in a municipal open government environment with securing data for police, potentially fire, and also the utilities. So it is a balancing act for us. And certainly, we're working with every group, collaborating on the best ways to provide the best practices at every level. But it is a challenge, and we need the organization behind us, not including management buy-in, so that we can move this forward and provide the best environment and this most secure environment, and still retain the flexibility and agility and productivity for the employees. So it's a tap dance. At best, at worst, it can be my most horrible nightmare. But we are moving things forward, and we do have initiatives coming for the upcoming year as we continue with assessments, evaluating the risks, mitigating any risks that we have out there, and expanding and improving our emergency response plan. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Sue. Any comments from the commission? Commissioner Mathenow, you have the floor.
Sue, when you mention regulatory, which agency or department in the state are you talking about?
We have several. The CGIS requirements are regulated by the FBI. The AWIA assessment comes down from the Environmental Protection Agency and is also monitored, and Rick Stevens can make sure that he corrects me on this, but I believe the Connecticut Department of Health is also involved in that assessment. The NERC critical infrastructure protection actually comes from the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, and they took the NERC requirements that were written many years ago and made them mandatory. So we have federal agencies that are involved, and we also have state agencies involved, and those particular regulatory requirements.
So these are federal. Anybody from the state per se?
As I mentioned, the State Department of Health
Oh.
may be involved in the AWIA, but it is dictated at the federal level.
So you're doing this resiliency test. Does that include the pen test as well?
The requirements for the resiliency and risk test are available, and I can actually send you the link to additional information on it. But the America's Water Infrastructure Act requirements do go through the resiliency and risk, and they cover not only the water treatment facility SCADA systems, but also the core network and specifically financials to ensure that the organization has no outlying risk from a financial perspective in the event of a cyber event. So it expands beyond just the water treatment facility, it expands throughout the entire corporate network, which will be part of the challenge for us. But I can certainly send you the information on the details of that assessment. The contractor.
Sue, if I
and-
can add to that,
Mhm. Please.
this is Rick Stevens.
Go ahead, Rick.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioner, the fundamental purpose of the first element of the AWIA regulatory compliance is an update of the vulnerability assessment, which we had to do in 2002. And that was in accord to the Bioterrorism Act and was overseen by the Department of Homeland Security. That's the first part. So that looks at all infrastructure in the utilities, water division, including dams, reservoirs, water mains, any other housing structures, equipment. And we will be able to follow templates that have been furnished through the Environmental Protection Agency, which, as you said, is federal.
So I'm very, very aware how backdated all of these various templates and regulatory guidelines are. They are extraordinarily outdated, extraordinarily out of touch. And I'm concerned as we are going forward in 2021 with GU and the kind of onus that GU has with our supply chains across this region, with EB in the forefront, as well as Pfizer in the forefront of far too many cyber vulnerabilities. And there are too many doors to enter, to ingress into any of those agencies, especially through customers of Groton utilities, which are access points themselves. So my query just now was, in this resiliency program, that evaluation that is going on, are there any tasks given to do pen tests? Pen test means penetration testing, which is cybersecurity related, to identify vulnerabilities across a utility service or nuclear power plant. The other aspect that needs to be addressed is something called SCADA, which is the broader based computer network and all of those things. I'll be happy to sit down and explore this with you. But as our state and as this region ramps up on our production of submarines, and as Pfizer ramps up on vaccine intelligence with its supply chains over here, these are the two critical weak points that is going to be on our forefront for the next 20, 30 years. And GU that provides a lot of services, not only to those institutions, but also to the supply chain, but from the supply chain employees as well, that we would now need to build moats around. So that's why I was asking about it. I know the state itself is still working on most of these guidelines to date. And perhaps I would suggest at some point when you're available, Steve or Sue, that you can connect with the state CISO, Chief Cybersecurity Information Officer. He was appointed back in 2019, the first one in the state, to work with him because he is looking into supply chain vulnerabilities as well.
Oh, thank you, Commissioner. You know, as a manager in the operations, I'm really confident that Sue is the main person that will delve into the cybersecurity. I just wanted to mention the other elements are all our infrastructure as well. And that's what our project managers and operations folks will be handling with the consultant.
Thank you. Thank you, Sue.
Follow up, if I could follow up quickly on your commentary.
Sure.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your concerns. They have been certainly our concerns for many years, much prior to the regulatory requirements.
Yeah.
And the fact that we had remote access capability in a secure form prior to it being required, I hope is an indicator that we have been proactive in those areas. It has been said, and I hate to even quote, but it has been said by some consultants in the past that regulatory compliance from a cyber perspective has nothing to do with security. We are based in security. The regulatory compliance element is often making sure that the right paperwork is done at the right time.
Yes.
And
For legal reasons. I agree.
certainly.
Yeah.
And we make our efforts focus on the security aspect, which can, in some respects, provide an even better posture than what the requirements are.
So Sue, let me suggest to you, we can always take this offline. My door is always open to you. Please reach out to me on any aspect of cybersecurity or technology. I sit on several boards. I'm also well acquainted on a federal and levels as well on all various aspects of cybersecurity with NIST, with MITRE, with NSA, and so forth. So I'll be happy to give you any feedback or thoughts that you may need.
Thank you very much. I welcome that opportunity.
Okay. Anything else on information technology update? Okay, moving on. Projects update, electric boat.
Bruce, this is Bruce Gashevsky. I'll give you a quick update on electric boat. We have completed installing about 70% of the poles on this project. Working on an easement with EV to get to the receiving station. And we're working on a proposal for BHI through our master service agreements for the installation of the Hendrix. And that will be probably coming next month to you guys for approval.
Okay, any questions from the commissioners on the electric boat project? All right.
I do. Scully.
Okay, Commissioner Scully.
Is electric boat reimbursing GU for the work on out in the roads?
Yeah, fully paid, George.
Fully reimbursed? Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was part of the agreement going into this in order to get that substation set up or for the South Yard Assembly buildings down there.
Right.
Okay, transmission.
This is Randy Supernaut. We met Friday did a walk down with the vegetation management company. They're going to be doing the clearing and the civil, and also the construction company. They're going to be doing the drilling and pole construction. They're working on sending submittals for cost projections. So we're expecting those in the next couple of weeks. We had some minor changes that need to happen with the engineering and placement of the poles. We're expecting that this week or next week from the engineering company. So we're expecting probably in the next 2 weeks to get numbers together and bring it to the commission at some point, maybe the next meeting or the one after. We're hoping for the next meeting.
Okay, any questions on transmission from the commission? Okay, moving on, wastewater treatment facility roofs.
I'd like to add one thing too. We went to this Connecticut Siting Council on February 25th.
25th, we had our hearing.
Yep, and then basically we got approval for that on that date. We're still waiting for a written approval now. So that's the next stage. So I just wanted to add to that for that project.
That's on the transmission project.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, okay. All right, anything else on transmission? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to wastewater treatment facility roof.
So this is Mark. Talked to Mike Weber this morning during our routine operations meeting. We have met with Firestone and gotten the specifications, and we expect the bid for the wastewater treatment plant roofs to go out next week. In preparation for that, we also have Mystic Air preparing to do an asbestos survey on the existing roofs, so that we know what's there when we rip them off. So we're we're getting down, getting ready to go do that work.
Okay, good.
Oh, I wanted to mention one other thing. I know it's not on the list here, but I know it's near and dear to your hearts over there at the town hall. We did get an order of magnitude estimate on the Five Corners project for undergrounding the overhead circuits plus the 34.5 line. And I was very surprised to see that we were coming in at $1.5 million. I really expected that to be much higher. So that was good news. I sent that to Leslie Crean last night, so she had it prior to her meeting with the Economic Development Commission.
Yeah, we had that last night. Planning and zoning met, and that was one of the public hearings that was brought out yesterday, and that information was brought up at the meeting. And so, we'll be talking with the contractor and talking with Leslie and figuring out what the next step is and where do we go from here. But so, yep, that's good news. I was surprised that the number that came in. All right, anything?
Chairman,
Commissioner Giuliani.
who's going to pay for that? Who's actually going to flip the bill on the million?
Well, that's a very good question. Typically, the customer pays for the relocation of the wires, but the attorney, Harry Heller, made a comment last night that that was not currently in their budget, but that's where the negotiations come in. So we'll be working with them to try to figure this whole thing out. So I do not know. I do not have a solid answer for you yet as far as where this goes.
To be decided.
Well, it's to be decided at this point because, their point of view is we should do it as part of investment for economic development. Our point of view is you need it in order to develop. So this is right. You get on one side of the argument or the other. And so we're going to have to work it out. And I'm sure at some point there'll be some kind of a discussion. And then that, and I don't know what the compromise is going to look like. No, I don't have a clue at this point because I haven't talked to Leslie yet this morning about where we're going to go, but there will be some active discussion on it. Is all I can say at this point because I don't know anymore.
Thank you.
That's a good question.
Commissioner Scully has a question.
Commissioner Scully.
That $1.5 million, what is that going underground on all 5 roads into the intersection? Or
yes.
Is it just, yes? Wow, that is,
yes.
Does sound reasonable. Of course, that's only half. Everything else has to go underground too, so that's only half the
right, right. That's another complication on this.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, it's all part of economic development and projects and things like that. I mean, it's all part of the bigger picture and where are we trying to go and what are we trying to do and those kinds of things. And it's part of what we're doing. All right. I'm going to move on to old business, wastewater treatment plant odor update. And could we also address Sam Spano's email?
Yeah, so this is Mark. Sam's email was spot on. The day that he caught a whiff of, sewage, we definitely had the sludge truck there. The guys went through the normal process of hooking up the hoses and venting correctly, but definitely at that evolution, you can definitely get a whiff of odor. And, there is just no way to prevent all odor when you do that because you have to make and break connections, even with the vent line. So it is possible to get a momentary whiff of that odor. So he was right that it was as a result of the sludge truck pumping sludge. And as far as the other updates, We have Wright Pierce coming in to do the complete assessment of the wastewater treatment plant. That has not started yet. You know, we have no other planned evolutions at the moment or other planned plant improvements at the moment until we start into the Wright Pierce, other than replacing the roofs.
So the Wright Pierce will give us a list and a prioritization of the list of projects that we need to move forward with?
Yes, sir, they may, right?
Right.
What we hope is they're gonna, not hope, we've asked them to take a look at all of our processes, all of our equipment, the way we do business, and, you know, determine what we need to do to come up to, you know, 2021 standards and beyond. And, you know, we you know, Ray and the wastewater treatment plant folks, you know, have a few things they know they probably have to do. You know, like we think we're going to have to upgrade to a different kind of chlorination system, you know, or odor mitigation system, let's put it that way. Different kind of scrubbers, things like that. And, you know, there may be other things that they recommend since they're on the leading edge of technology. That's where that stands right now.
Well, and that's good. And since we've moved the sewer out of the tax base, we now have monies available, and we also have bonding authorized that we could use on these projects in order to maintain and upgrade the plant. So that's good news.
Mayor, can I just ask a quick question? How are we on the study of the plant? I can't remember what stage we're at with that.
Well, we have contracted with Wright Pierce. They're our master service agreement holder for anything water or sewer related. And we have a project going out. It already got approved, right? Didn't we already approve that in
Facility plan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's already been. We're just waiting for the facility plan to be signed, and then we'll execute the plan with Wright Pierce to actually get going on the assessment. We are waiting for, the only thing we were waiting for is to see if we are eligible for grant money, and we expect that letter in this week, I believe. I think it was this week. Yeah, and we have Kevin Sini working on that with Rick and Ray, trying to get those letters expedited. We didn't want to sign the agreement because there's a potential we could get, you know, 55% of the study, the proposal study money back. So we, you know, we might be able to get a couple $100,000 back. So we were just waiting on that letter. I believe that's due this week. I know Kevin has called his counterparts at Deep to find out what's going on up there. And I think Rick had mentioned something as well. Rick, I know you mentioned something to me. I don't remember exactly what you said. If you have any comment on that. But as soon as we get that, we will sign it and begin the study.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, the grant is another thing that we're allowed to do now that we moved it out of the tax base into an enterprise account. So all these things are finally coming to fruition, and that's a good thing. All right, Tri-Town Trail Association.
I might be able to talk to this. Rick can fill in. When at the last meeting, we discussed and the commission approved Groton Utilities working with the Tri-Town Trails in the future to do some kind of agreement or not, or come to an agreement on how to use the watershed for outside activities. At that point, Rick's name and email went out, and there was a flood of less than 30 or 40 different parties, if not more, that all emailed Rick with a myriad of questions. And as we're in the middle of budget time with plant startup and multiple things going on, Rick doesn't have the capability to deal with 30s or 40 different information in discussions at a time.
So what we're going to ask of the Tri-Town Trails is probably the lady who wrote the thank you letter to you about initiating this discussion. We're going to ask that she become or designate one person to control the amount of questions and data flow into the organization and out of the organization. And we're going to ask that come in through the director's office and we can actually get the questions answered. And Rick would be the primary one working on that, but at least that'll help control the amount of inquiries he's getting. He was absolutely barraged. Rick, am I speaking accurately?
Yes, Ron.
Okay, anything you wanted to add?
No, I think that's the proper way. You know, maybe the board can appoint somebody when they convene.
That's all I have, Keith.
Okay. All right, under new business, data centers.
I was just gonna talk real quick about data centers. We have mentioned it before that.
Ron, can I stop you for 1 second?
Commissioner Godwin?
Just, Mr. Mayor, for the record, our firm represents the city of Norwich and Norwich Public Utilities. And I have represented a landowner who has been in discussions with a developer of a data center in Montville. So I don't know how involved or not you want me on this. I just want to let you know, because I've not been involved at all with any discussions at Norwich Public Utilities. So I really don't know anything other than there is something going on.
So your firm represents, but not you as a single attorney. So it's not your direct client.
No, I am not. I have not been retained by Norwich Public Utilities in regards to the data center or their discussions with the data center. Down the road, I may or may not get pulled in. I can't tell you that.
Well, thank you for disclosing that information. If down the road we get into that, then you can bring it up and we can decide whether or not you need to recuse yourself and whether or not there's a conflict of interest. At this point, there does not appear to be a conflict of interest. So I think it's okay for you to be here and be engaged in this conversation, but thank you for disclosing that.
Okay, thanks.
Ron, go ahead and continue on with the data center.
Yep, and this is purely informational and public. If I think we're going to get down roads that might be confidential, we can think about what Commissioner Godley just brought up. Basically, with the state passing a tax-free law for the installation of data centers, a data center has to come into a municipality and create a municipal agreement with the municipality that basically agrees to some kind of payment in lieu of tax deal with the municipality. That being the case, there's a couple of plots of land in the town of Groton that are in the Groton Utility Service territory that we have entered into basically a non-binding letter of agreement that we would give them our wholesale contract, very similar to what we do with other large customers such as Pfizer and EB and in the Basra territory, Airgas. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. They have also approached Basra Light and Power to do the same letter of agreement there because they're looking at locking up a parcel of land in the Basra territory. So we're working on that general large wholesale power agreement with potential buyers or potential data center customers. And there's nothing special what we're offering. We're not offering them anything different than what all of our large customers have and enjoy. And our large customers do enjoy pricing that beats the pants off Wallingford any day. So if there's any questions, I'll address those.
Anything from the commission?
Is there a time frame that ECD or Advanced CT is working with GU or the client perhaps looking at setting this up, because this whole deal was fast tracked?
It was fast tracked. First, they've got to come up with a municipal agreement with the town, whether that be Basra or Groton or even in Norwich. So that's a separate thing. On the side, the CMEC members are offering very similar deal to all of the CMEC member utility territories. So if our pricing is competitive in Groton and it is competitive in Basra, it's probably just about as competitive in Norwich. The deals we offer are very similar, so that we wouldn't control the timing. What I understand is the soonest that a data center could be up and running is assuming that there's a year of negotiations that leads to about 6 months of planning and then a 2-year construction window. And that's just from what I've heard from engineers that have contacted us asking when I asked what's the time frame. So it's out about 4 years from now, probably, even fast tracked. These buildings are very large. They use each building uses about 25 to 32 megawatts, 32 megawatts peak. And they take a lot of space, and they need 100% backup diesel power, which would be provided by fuel oil in the background, because they cannot lose power.
That's true. Yes, I was just envisioning some of the data centers I've seen in my past life. What is the potential value of solar panels on the rooftops of these boxes?
That remains to be seen, but our wholesale rates beat the pants off anything you can do with solar too. So that would be a customer decision. And I believe solar is going to come up more and more in the future. We can actually, that's going to lead right into the last presentation you're going to have today about residential energy conservation. And in the future, working to try to promote solar on our customers, because our electrical rates are so cheap that it generally does not make sense for our customers, our residential customers, to install solar, because their payback is on the order of magnitude of 20 to 25 years.
Right.
So,
right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
So I've talked to town manager John Burt. Town manager is working with the data center group on a municipal agreement. They're in discussions now. That's all I'm going to say, because that's all that impact. It's not in our bailiwick. That's the town issue, not a Groton Utilities issue. Our issue is solely on, can we get power there? And one, can we get power there? Two, do we have the power available to send it once we get it there? And so the answer to those questions is yes, to both of those questions. And we have negotiated a rate with them already. So that's where we are, and that's our portion of this. So that's that. Anything else on data centers? Okay. Clean Water Infrastructure Act.
I believe we covered this when we just with Rick and Sue's discussion. Rick or Sue, do you have anything to add?
Not at this time, Ron.
Okay. All right, moving on. Residential Energy Conservation and Electric Vehicle Rebate Program.
Aaron, are you taking the screen?
I think Dan will take the screen and Len will kick us off.
Can you hear me now?
This is Len Medieval.
We got you, Len.
It got you, Len.
Okay, great. Thank you. Well, I was going to say good morning, but I now can say good afternoon to the utility commissioners, as well as all my compatriots in Groton Utilities. The intent today is to introduce key account members. There are 4 of us, and also inform the commission on the 2021 Electric Power Conservation Program. Did you hear me? What? Oh, I didn't realize that. Dan just corrected me a little bit on the camera had been misaligned. The conservation program of the 2021 is changing somewhat, and hope to bring more value to what has been done previously. First, I want to introduce the members of the group, the 4 of us. Aaron is the Utility Analytics Manager. Dan is the Manager of Communications and Community Outreach. Hollis is the Energy Engineer. And myself, I'm General Manager of the Key Accounts team. Together, while we were putting this to words, we found out that collectively we have 120 years of utility service between the 4 of us. So we're steeped in a lot of traditions and knowledge. The team will be open for questions, and we prefer for brevity that any questions will be at the end of the presentation, and hope to hear some questions that we can respond to. The purpose of the review today is to review the Electric Power Conservation Program with you and introduce the new program that will be contributing to achieving one of the strategic goals, and that strategic goal is number 4 for the on behalf of the customer and the community, with the intent to improve the energy use and the extended conservation. The initiatives will increase monetary value of the customers, and the 2021 promotion is to focus on conservation program, energy efficiency, decrease the carbon footprint, and be environmentally friendly. And that's the introduction, and Aaron is next. Talk about the analytics.
Thank you, Len. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, so conservation has always been a means to engage and participate with our customers. And I think we have an opportunity more now than ever before because of advancements in heat pump technology and the EV market. We have an opportunity to really create a win-win-win between us, our customers, and the community around us and our environment. So last year, GU invested a little over $1 million in conservation programs, including greenhouse gas reductions and renewable investments. GU customers added about 9 new EVs last year. That would essentially take, I think, 500 metric tons of carbon dioxide from vehicle emissions off the road. And we did 14 different customer mini splits. Also for some larger projects, we did some lighting, street lighting, and a major retro commissioning project that was approaching $400,000. And then we also continue to invest in our renewable infrastructure to the tune of around $300,000. And Dan, you can go to the next slide. Through these programs, since 2017, GU and GU customers have saved 18 million kilowatt hours. That would be the equivalent of planting 16,000 acres of forest. And GU and GU customers, again, have produced over their lifetime 139 million kilowatt hours. And that's all with class 1 renewables, whether it be solar, battery storage, or fuel cells. The equivalent of planting 128 acres of forest. We were going to just real briefly highlight kind of two major projects we did last year. One was at the Kanowski Elementary School, almost $25,000 rebated or incentivized, and that was for an LED lighting upgrade project at that school. And then we also did Yukon Avery Point. Next slide. There we go. Yukon Avery Point, we did two different pieces here. One was that major retro commissioning project, and also we did a streetlight upgrade there as well. It came in at $340,000. Our current offerings here, just to give you an idea of where we are kind of today, the EV programs, you can see the dollars there, but we definitely want to promote private investment in both EVs and level 2 chargers. We have programs for the heat pump mini splits, heat pump water heaters, home energy saving programs, and insulation. We are boosting up both of our HES programs, our insulation, and we are starting a smart thermostat program. And with that, I'll kick it off to Hollis in the operations room to go over the spring and summer promotion.
Good.
Hollis
Yeah,
McKee.
Hollis McKee here. One of the things that I want to just clear up is our recent investments at Yukon Avery Point. The retro commissioning was over $600,000. We paid $100,000 in a rebate. And then we also redid their LED outdoor post lighting, which was $240,000. And now when we get to, I'm just pasting it through here. So in 2021, we are going to increase our mini splits to the point of 100% paying for equipment costs, 100% for heat pump water heaters. Not installation, not all the auxiliary devices, but the equipment with maxes on those for the which what $4,000 mini splits cannot go residential mini splits not over 5,000. Okay, the C&I greater than 5.5 tons. We're talking $1,200 per max per ton. Max cap is 10 grand. We increased the HES program from $1,000 for a single home to $3,000 for a home and $1,000 for an apartment, which includes in that pricing $2.50 per square foot of insulation. So that's a big uptick for them, for anybody who wants to do that. The other new rebate item will be smart thermostats at $200 a thermostat. And the whole intent is to increase our numbers, basically double the customer engagement. We'd like to do 20,000 vehicle rebates, 80,000, 30 mini splits, 150,000, 15 heat pump water heaters up to 15,000. But no one customer federal ID number can exceed $100,000 rebate. That's the max cap annually. Because we need to spread this money out again among all of our customers. So that's the 100-foot view, and at this point, I'm gonna flip it over to Dan in the marketing section. Any questions?
Actually, we'll do the questions at the very end once I'm done. Okay, and the last thing is marketing. We got this great plan. We're gonna have some great specials on EV, heat pump, and mini splits while adding smart thermostats in, but we need to get the word out. So we're gonna be running this campaign beginning April 1st through October. And our marketing methodology, we're gonna be doing some digital advertising as well as some traditional advertising. On the digital advertising front, we'll have weekly social media posts going out on all our different channels through Facebook and Instagram. We'll have an article on the GU website, in addition to all the Chamber of Commerce's that we belong to. And we'll have a featured spot on the front page of the GU website. So when people go to the website, there'll be a button right there screaming at them to go check out our new specials. And we'll put together a direct email that will go out to all GU and Basra Light and Power customers. As far as the traditional advertising goes, we have a radio contract with Full Power Radio, which consists of, for us, WBMW and US Country 99.5. So we'll be utilizing our radio spots throughout the April to October period of time to push this out to people in the region. We'll also, we'll most likely have an ad in the New London Day. I haven't quite put that together yet. We'll also have a slide going by on Groton Municipal television. And lastly, bill stuffers will be doing flyers in each GU monthly bill, highlighting the program and how people can participate. And then on top of that, we will be down in the park this summer for our concerts, and we're also the primary sponsor for the Sound Waves concert series down at Esker Point for the town of Groton. So that's probably 12 different occurrences where we can get the word out, shouting out to the crowd and having paperwork and whatnot that people can pick up right there on the spot. And we'll of course have this information available in the municipal building and on our internal presentation methodologies like NetPresenter. So I threw together a demo promotion material. I still got 2 weeks to finish it off. This is the first look at one of the flyers that we're going to have out there, highlighting the different rebates that we have and how people can participate. So we're hoping by doubling what we're giving out for electric vehicle from 2,000 to 4,000 and upping what we're giving out for hot water heat pumps and mini splits, that we can really engage the Groton utility customer base and have them participate much more than they have before. So that is the completion of our presentation. Does anybody have any questions?
I'm not on.
Commissioners?
Dan, you also should include that we're redoing our website application forms, so they're not so confusing. And
Sure. Yeah, it's as an aside from the promotion, I'm also redesigning how you apply rather than old-fashioned printing out forms and filling them out. It'll be all online forms through the Groton Utilities website.
Dan, thank you for what you're doing. Are you?
Commissioner Methanol, go ahead.
So sorry. Are you going to do anything on Facebook or social media as well?
Absolutely. We're going to be pushing out under digital advertising here.
Oh, I see it
We'll
now.
be doing weekly posts on the GU, Basra Light and Power, and the City of Groton Facebook and Instagram pages. We're going to try to cover from every different angle.
Perfect. Thank you.
Dan, we may also want to do a press release to kick this off with the day. I know I see that you're going to be doing monthly ads in the day, but we may want to do a press release to kick us off with the day. And also we could get something up to Basra for the TWIB up there, because that'll help you get information out to the Basra users as well. If you I thought of that.
TWIB and day. Yep, got it. Thank you.
That'd be good. Anything else from the commission? Okay. Perfect. There are no action items. There is no executive session. I will take a motion to adjourn.
So move, Jeff Godley.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you, commissioners. Thank you, staff, for coming out. I appreciate everything that you guys do every day. Thank you. Hope you have a great day. Stay safe.
You too.
Everybody.